All right, all right. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing on a Friday, October 11th, 10 a.m. on the East Coast? Glad you're in. How's everybody doing? Moon Pie on YouTube. I see. Good morning, Buzzard on YouTube. Linda says, first time watching live. Linda, where you been? First time watching live. Congratulations. Better late than never. Moon Pie, good morning. Well, good deal. He's live on Rumble. We've been live on Rumble in the mornings here for a couple weeks, I believe. Amy, good morning. Drag Blacker. Good morning, everybody. Damon in black. Yes, all black today. Comfy black. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. What's up, everyone? Good morning, Charlene. Good morning. I can't click on them fast enough. They're coming so fast. Good morning. Good morning, Penny. Yes, we start tonight at 7. Good morning from Nashville. I love Nashville. Got to get back to Nashville. Go see my friend Michael Curtis. I told Michael he's got to join me in the morning show here. Talk a little music. Dark MAGA, Dark Damon, yes. Where do I get one of those Dark MAGA hats they were talking about? As a matter of fact, we don't have to do anything formal here, right? We don't care. Let's go. Let's go see. Do we have? Do they have these for sale? I don't think they do. No. Showing all 26 products. That's all they got at the official Trump store. Yeah, I don't think I would buy it anyplace else if they don't have it on the lot. If they don't have it on the official Trump store, I don't know where I can get it. Hello, Woodrow. Good morning, everybody. Diane's going to Nashville next week. Very cool. I saw someone on Facebook selling Dark MAGA. Well, yeah, but I mean, who knows what you're going to get? That's the problem. What it's going to be. Who is it? MAGA.com has them? Is that like a Trump official? MAGA.com. Oh, whoever it is, it's a good looking site. This is definitely not the. This is not the hat though. This is not the hat that Elon was wearing. He was wearing one that said "Make America Great Again" in this color, in these color schemes, wasn't he? I think his said "Make America Great Again." Maybe I just need to make one myself. Did his say Dark MAGA, or did it say "Make America Great Again" just in the black and gray scheme? I don't think it said Dark MAGA, did it? Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Here we go. Is this pretty close? That looks pretty close. What do we think? Should I just buy one, or should we just have our guys make one and put it in the store? I don't know if I don't know if I can sell them though. Honestly, I don't know about the licensing on all this. Maybe I'll just buy this one. What do we think of that one? What do we think of that? Kind of like that one. What do we think? Yeah, people said that's the one. Yeah, all right, maybe we'll go over to that one. All right, we'll see. All right, so what's going on, everybody? Welcome on in, letting some people come in here. If you're on whatever you're on. Right now we got 101 people on X, 54 on YouTube, 83 on Facebook. At least those are the ones I can see. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, thumbs up. That was MAGA.com. MAGA.com. I don't know if that's an official Trump site. I'm assuming I don't know. Looked like a pretty decent hat though. Looked like the material was decent, so it should be yeah, though that one Child of the King, the one I saw was white on the back. I kind of like that one too, but I do like the all black with the gray. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at them. Good morning, everybody. Partners in hotels, good morning. Are you actually partners in hotels? What hotels are you partners in? Elon's did say Make America Great Again. Yes, I thought so. If I was going to get one, that's the one I would like, the black one. John says, can't wait till 7 o'clock tonight. Yes, we're going to start early tonight, 7 o'clock. Grant Stinchfield's going to be off. And they could find literally nobody else. So they came to us no, I'm just kidding. They asked us if we wanted to take, obviously, since we're the 8 o'clock show, it was easier for us just to do it. And so I said, sure, we'll go live at 7. So we're going to go live at 7. We'll do some pre-rally coverage. I don't even know what that really means, but we'll talk about, what number rally is this? I think we all pretty much know what to expect at this point. It doesn't change all that much. But we'll talk about some of that. We'll talk to Ben Bergquam. Ben Bergquam's going to be on the ground in Reno. Sandra, good morning. I'm glad it's a beautiful day there. It's a beautiful day here. It's just starting to get, woke up this morning, it was 49 degrees. It's not exactly roll out of bed and walk outside in your shorts anymore. It's getting a little chilly in the mornings. Damon, lots of fans in the Boston area? A lot of fans of us in the Boston area? Is that what you're saying, Carol? Really? That's good to know. Good to know. I don't know these things. I don't get out much. I listen to Harry, but Harry's such an exaggerator sometimes I never know what to think. But anyways, yes, we're going to start at 7. We'll do some rally coverage. We'll talk to Ben Bergquam, see what's going on in wherever the president's going to be tonight. I'm sure it'll be a good crowd wherever it is. And then we'll do a lot of regular 6B stuff as well. We'll try to get the odds makers is really what I want to get in tonight because it's Friday and we have another great guest from the audience. I don't even know who it is, but Aaron said that she is going to be fantastic. And I said, okay, great. Paul says he's from Boston, Nashville now. Harry does deliver fake news. Yes, Harry's the king of fake news. It's not fake news. Harry has his own style of news. It's called Harry on the Highway news, which you take with a big grain of salt. Because it's always Harry. I'll tell you what it is. You know what it is? Harry's the most positive person you've ever been around. And you just know things can never be as good. Can never be as good as Harry wants to make it out. But I honestly wish I was more like Harry in that way. Harry's always positive, and I'm always like, Harry, I live in the real world, man. It can't be that good. That's the thing about Harry. He is adorable. And he's always positive, which drives me crazy. I'm just kidding. 25 years now, Harry has been doing the same thing. Yeah, get up, Harry. Nah, Harry's the best. Yeah, Harry's the best. Listen, me and Harry it always still kind of amazes me the people who watch the show. I don't think you guys in the morning here, I think kind of get what we do. But it still does amaze me that people write me emails sometimes when I give Harry a hard time, and they're actually like really serious, like they really think like Damon's giving Harry such a hard time, and like they can't believe it. It's like how much more do we have to do to convey the message that me and Harry have been together now for 25 years, roughly. Nothing between us is ever anything but a representation of that 25 years. We have fun, we kid each other, never personal. But people still, I guess, have not. Maybe they're new to the show or they just don't get it. I'm not really sure. Delgado, the same thing. I've known Delgado longer than we're doing this show. People think sometimes they actually think I'm serious about, like, Delgado. Like, I'm always going to give Delgado a hard time just because it's fun to do on the show. People wrote me emails last night. Use Delgado as your punching bag. It's just stunning to me that people watch the show and they still don't really understand what they're watching. Like, it's a show, guys. If I just agreed with Delgado all the time, that wouldn't be too much fun to watch, I wouldn't assume. Especially when he gets into his wacky whatevers. Yeah, David, you can't joke on here. People get mad. It's not that, you know what it is? It's not that people get mad. It's just, I can't believe how much people take so seriously, like, at least the interworkings of the show. Like, the one thing I say to them before we go on air every night is, let's just try to be funny. And whatever that takes, let's do the best we can to go at each other with things. Even if we don't necessarily, we just do it for the show. But people take it so seriously sometimes. Thank you, Robert. That's what we try to be. You know, I grew up in the Imus days, so I feel like people who watch this show, a lot of people call and say, a lot of people write and say, man, it just is the closest thing to when Imus died, there was a void. This is the closest thing I found since that. And I figure if people know that, and you knew the inner workings of Imus and Charles and Bernie and Lou and Rob and Larry Kenny back in the day, then you understand the show. But there's a lot of people who don't. So we have to do a better job of that. So, yes, we love Delgado's theories, as nuts as he is. Absolutely. That's why it's called the show. Exactly. We try to put on a show. People think we're actually, like, serious in the, like, relationship part. This was a jackass. Rick, come on, man. Talking about, he's the greatest to ever do it. Single greatest voice to ever sit behind a microphone, Rush and Imus. Those are the two. Those are the two that made you want to sit behind a microphone for different reasons, but and Levin. Levin in the early days when I started listening to Levin, man, he was the reason you wanted to go sit behind a microphone. He could be funny, engaging, smart, have some fun, mostly serious. That was it. All right, let's get down to some business. There is some things I wanted to talk about. I think it's just the overall. I try not to get ahead of myself for a number of reasons, because I know how these things work, and you certainly don't want to look like phone is dying. You don't want to look like a fool. But I don't know. I have this just overall feeling that we've been talking about on the show, that there's been this sea change in the last 2 weeks. She has had as about a bad 2 weeks as, and for someone who, I mean, I paid a lot more attention now than I used to in years past, but man, I just don't see how you could have had a worse couple weeks than she's had. And I don't see how you can, I mean, I guess you could have had better weeks than he's had, but I don't know how much better. I mean, Butler and Elon, all the interviews he's doing, the seriousness to the interviews he's doing, the Detroit Economics Club. Like, she's never going to go to a place like that. Like, how does she go and talk to them? How does she go make the case for her being economically better for the country when we've all seen what's happened? Big D, you need to have a GoFundMe for FEMA? I don't know about that. She's never going to go to those places. That's, again, Colbert, Call Her Daddy, Howard Stern. Yes, she's feeding the base, and I guess to some degree, as I've said, I think this is a base election. But I think it's almost now past a base election, because now it's about I don't know what the number is, but I think there are people out there that may be kind of more not so hard right, not so hard left, not set in stone. No matter what, I'm voting for this. And I think there's a lot of votes out there that she still has to try to win. A lot of demographics she's trying to gain support in that it's just not. I mean, when Barack Obama comes out and says on his first night, really kind of out on the trail for her, and he says, we're not seeing the same kind of support and energy that we saw when I ran. Well, I mean, first of all, I don't care what you thought of Barack Obama. He was always an extremely skilled politician. And as far as speaking on the subject matter, even though you didn't agree with anything he said, he could sit down with anybody and answer questions. She is no Barack Obama. She is not even barely Joe Biden. Now, current version of Joe Biden. She's never been, nor could she ever be anything resembling 2006, 7, 8 into the presidency Barack Obama. I mean, it's not even, that comparison is laughable. So, of course, you're not going to get the same energy you had with him. But when he comes out and says that, and says, especially with black males, or as he called them, the brothers last night, I mean, I think that says all you need to say. I mean, that demographic is what the Democrats have lived off of, taken advantage of, catered to, only in election season forever. The African-American vote, the black vote. And then she's just not, they're just not buying it. They're just not buying it. They can see a fraud they know a fraud when they see one. They know an empty suit when they see one. They know a solid gold-plated phony when they see one. They've seen Al Sharpton for years. They know what a gold-plated phony looks like. And they're not buying it. And now you're seeing some even more high-profile African Americans. Charlemagne the God talking about it. We played that clip. I just saw is it Griffin? What's his last name's Griffin. It's not Art. Is it Artie? Not Artie Griffin. There's some Griffin. Said she's a total fraud, man. She's a phony. I ain't voting for her. So I don't know. So going back to, I don't want to look like a total absolute fool when they steal this thing on November 5th. But man, I tell you, I feel like the desperation is just thick. You could cut it with a knife on their side. And I think Mark Halperin is probably right. Mark Halperin is a lefty. I mean, let's not get it twisted. Mark Halperin has spent a lot of time over there on MSNBC and Morning Joe, and seems like a reasonable guy, but whatever. But I think he's probably right in the internal private pollings that he's looking at. She's in trouble, man. And you can bury your head in the sand and go watch Morning Joe and have them tell you how it's the best version of, just like they told you it was the best version of Biden. They'll tell you she's doing this or she's doing that. It doesn't seem that way to me. I saw someone on Twitter yesterday, on X. Don't be fooled. Every fundamental points to another Trump loss. Some lefty. And I'm thinking, what fundamentals? What are they? Could you be, they won't be specific. All the fundamentals. What fundamentals? Where are they? What are they? Point me to them. Point me to the fundamentals that show him heading for another loss. I don't see them. Mark Halperin doesn't see him. Real Clear Politics doesn't see him. Rasmussen doesn't see him. Most of the polls don't see him. I get it. I don't trust the polls either. That's fine. We can agree on that. But what fundamentals are we talking about here? And he says, don't get it twisted. All the fundamentals show Trump heading to another loss. And I just don't know what they're referring to. It just reeks of desperation. What's the former speaker have to say on Mark Halperin's show, by the way?
My guess is that we're in the early stages of watching her collapse, and that given the objective, larger realities that surround her. One last comment, which I know you wrote me back about today. My hunch as a historian and occasional novelist is that sometime in the last 2 weeks, Joe and Jill looked at each other and thought, wouldn't it be a great legacy if Joe's the only guy ever to beat Trump? And I think the stuff he's done to undermine her in the last 10 days is pretty amazing, and I don't think it's an accident. My guess is...
Yeah, I think, as the former speaker is a lot, I think he's right. I think he's right on the money. I think he's right on the money. We've been talking about this. There's headlines about it. A couple things I'll bring to you. That's the first time I heard that clip. So, by the way, I mean, again, I don't agree with a lot of Mark Halperin, but this show is phenomenal that they do. It's informative. Mark Halperin, Sean Spicer. I don't know Dan Turrentine as much, but it's really a fantastic show. I think they do it every morning. But there's a lot of good stuff that comes out of this show. I didn't watch it this morning. But there's a lot of good things that come out of this thing. I don't know this two-way platform that they use. I think that's actually Halperin's platform. But yeah, listen, they got the big guns out because I think the desperation is real. I think the desperation is real. Just the news this morning. Election tilts towards Trump as suspicion grow that some polls may be masking the true size of his lead. Some pollsters have pointed to an apparent disconnect between state and national level surveys. A string of polls from legacy outfits has pointed to a shift towards former President Donald Trump in most of the major battleground states. While Vice President Harris maintains a national lead, not that much, by the way, but some analysts see a critical disconnect between state and national polling that could suggest the Republican is even on stronger footing. Harris currently leads Trump by 2 percentage points in the Real Clear Politics polling average, that's the national, with 49.1 support for her to his 47.1%. That figure includes a Rasmussen Report survey showing Trump with a 2-point lead, a Reuters survey showing Harris up 2, Morning Consult poll with Harris up 5, Yahoo News poll with the race tied. Again, these are all national levels, popular vote, and a number of other surveys. New York Times Siena survey showed Harris up 3, but pollsters have pointed to an apparent disconnect between state and national level polls. You wonder why Tim Walz let the truth out, by the way, the other day. You wonder why he let it slip or whatever he did. Yeah, electoral college, damn it. That's the thing standing in our way. These damn founders of this country with all their protections and separation of powers and all this. What the hell, man? We're looking for one-party rule all the time. We don't want any barriers. We don't want any firewalls. We don't want anything standing in our way. What the hell is this electoral college? What the hell is this Constitution? What the hell is all this Supreme Court? Get rid of all of it. Filibuster, get rid of it. We need no opposition, no firewalls, no nothing. We want to do what we want, and that's it. Damn it, you'll like it. You'll have nothing and like it. Pollsters have pointed to an apparent disconnect between state and national level polls, with state-level surveys increasingly shifting towards Trump, while Harris seemingly holds steady at the national level. They have further observed 2 consistent patterns of national polling that appear to vary widely due to methodology. Dominating headlines this week was a bombshell Quinnipiac, which typically favors Democrats, that showed Trump leading by 2 percentage points in Wisconsin, 3 percentage points in Michigan. The Harris post-debate starburst dime dims to a glow as Harris enters the last week, slipping slightly in the Rust Belt, Quinnipiac University polling analyst Tim Malloy wrote. Far from an outlier, other surveys have followed those results, showing Trump either tied or leading Harris in those battleground states. Well, we'll go through all of them here in a second. Betting markets have also shifted decidedly in favor of Trump. Polymarket currently assigns him a 55.3 chance of winning. By the way, this Polymarket and there's some others, they're basically like betting markets for predictions for futures. No sports, just betting on life events, other things. And there's all kinds of things that you can bet. And it's basically like betting stock and option futures. You can either bet them in contracts or you can bet them in dollars. And again, I said this yesterday, having part of my career, a lot of it in the sports gambling business. I understand the business. I understand how the books work. I understand a lot of this stuff. I don't know how thin these kind of places, the books are. So I don't know how much, I don't know how much trust you put in looking at these the same way I would go look at, let's say, the game last night and look at all the Vegas books, knowing kind of what kind of money's coming in and what's going on. So I don't know how much to trust Polymarket and some of these other things. I don't know them well enough to know how thin or not thin the order book is. So when I think last week he was losing to her here. So now he's up to 55.3 and she's at 44. That's an 11-point lead. He was at like a 3-point deficit, I believe, at Polymarket not too long ago. Well, how much money came in on him to make that change would be really important to know. You know, so I don't know how much to trust these prediction sites. But that doesn't matter. The point being, there's something going on here. And you can go, this is a great article, by the way. I'm not going to take you through the whole thing. You can go read it yourself. I shared it. Actually, did I share it? I don't know if I did, but I will right now. Okay, I have now shared it. You can go check that out. But the point being, let's just go through them. And I did not see this, but I absolutely love Sean Ryan. I think it's one of the best podcast shows, whatever you want to call it, going. He is absolutely fantastic. He was great with Trump, too, by the way. Thought he did a nice job. Wouldn't surprise me, though, that. Let me just see while I'm in the chat, if I missed anything else. Okay, clearly I must have missed something here in the chat that I need to go back and look. Looks like I've missed some fun here. What's going on? Okay, I'll get to the chat here in a little bit. Try to keep an eye on it. Well, let's just go through the polling, though. Real clear. Did someone... Hold on a second. Oh! I thought I heard a sound. This is good timing. Vinnie Mack.
That's right, buddy. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for jumping on in. What's going on?
Yeah, things are going well. I don't know, juggling a few Zooms in the morning, but I wanted to catch you this morning. A lot going on, I'm sure. Sure you covered it all.
Now, tonight, you weren't on last night. Obviously, Kevin Downey Jr. was there. But tonight, we have Trump taking the stage at some point in the maybe not closer to 8:45, 9 o'clock. So we're actually going to do 7 o'clock start tonight. So I don't know if you can join us. I know we talked about Friday.
Yeah, I have to move a couple of things. Let me get right back to you. I'm hoping to do it, though.
Okay, very good. So Vinny might be there tonight. People in the chat are all saying hello, Vin. I don't know if you can see the chat or not, but everyone's saying hello from
awesome.
Facebook, YouTube, X, Rumble. So I was just about to get into some of these polls and where Trump is, but since we didn't talk to you last night, what's on your mind right now? I basically, so far this morning, and I said, I don't want to, obviously you don't want to look like a total fool, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I just go back to, I look at some of these headlines I haven't gotten to yet here that I have pulled up. I just feel like I don't know how you have a worse couple of weeks than she's had. I don't know how you have a better. I mean, I guess you could have had better, but you think about Butler, you think about Elon, you think about the endorsements, you think about the places he's going. Yesterday, the Detroit Economic Club, fantastic he was. 2 hours he spoke. I just don't know how you you have such polar opposites. And man, you look at the headlines. I just played a clip of Newt Gingrich on Mark Halperin's show this morning saying, it's so clear to me, he says, that Biden is trying to sabotage her. You're going to look back on this, and he says, it wouldn't surprise me if Dr. Jill Biden, his wife, who's obviously steaming at the way the whole thing went down, said to him, Joe, maybe let's do our part to make sure that you're the only Democrat that ever beat Trump at the polls. I mean, I just have this feeling like there's this big sea change, and I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. I don't think this is a blowout. I still think it's going to be close in places, but I don't know. What's your feeling?
Well, first off, there's a lot of proof in what you said regarding, Biden, just, perhaps not really liking her and not supporting her and so on and so forth. I mean, just look at the DeSantis stuff. I mean, you don't have to look any further than that. Biden could have easily said, I haven't tasked the vice president with this, or he could have said a lot of things to really cover for her. Now, he's gone after Trump. Biden, completely, but that's a real good indicator of Biden really not liking her. So I think there's something to that. And the other piece is, even though Trump has had a great, month, and she's had a terrible one, the people are dug in for her big time. I'm hoping the independents see the things that you noted, and the people still on the fence, whomever is still on the fence and hasn't voted yet, and see that here's a guy, like him or not, he's out there, he's talking about his stuff, he's taking tough questions, he's going to hostile environments, he's everywhere, including hurricanes and disaster areas. And here's the other person not doing that, taking hand-picked friendly things, and then not really answering anything. And when she does, it's a disaster. So you just hope those folks on the fringe, and I hope that, these things that we see that she does have an impact, because they have to. But it just seems like, whatever, the people that I talk to who are liberal or whatever, they're just so deep and dug in that, it doesn't matter. She can literally do anything.
Yeah, but I mean, and those are the people, again, just getting back to her strategy. And again, I don't really know what her strategy is, but it seems like those are the only people, though, still that she's trying to talk to. When you go to Colbert, you go to Call Her Daddy, you go to Howard Stern, you go to The View, you're talking to the people who are already dug in for you. Those are the people watching those programs. You're not appealing to any independent. You're not appealing to anybody who's more down the middle. You're not appealing to anybody who is thinking, well, geez, I don't like the way he tweets, but man, the economy stinks. I'm paying too much for gas. I'm paying too much for energy. I don't want to keep deciding between food and heat. My insurance is way up. My car insurance is up. My health insurance is up. My wages aren't keeping up with inflation, but man, I don't really like him and I don't like the way he tweets. Going to those places, you're not appealing to that voter.
Yeah, no, I agree. The View and Colbert, I mean, in particular, and now she's doing the cover of Vogue. I've been saying that for a while, that she's going to so many friendlies that it might just solidify the base, I guess. But it's not going to help. The only one who can really help her is what Obama's doing. He's out there. He's one guy that has a voice. And by the way, he hasn't been out. This is the first time he's getting out, which kind of indicates a little panic. Wouldn't you say? Like, hey, we're not doing well. We got to send out Obama. I mean, why send out Obama if you're doing great? So that's quite evident, when you see him. It is comical to me how they.
By the way, before you go on, did you hear Obama yesterday? Obama came out before he took the stage, wherever he was. He was backstage, and they had a camera there. And we played the clip. If I had my hands on it quickly, I would pull it up. But I do actually have a couple clips to play. But he said to the reporter, "Well, we're not seeing the same kind of enthusiasm that we saw when I ran." And he said, and specifically, he turned around because there was like 3 young black kids standing with him. And he turned around and he said, especially, he says, I have to say, with the brothers, meaning that, black male voters are looking at her and going, yeah, no thanks. We know a fraud when we see one. And, you know, again, I said this at the beginning of the show before you were on. You can think Barack Obama was the most dangerous president in the history of this country, which I do, and did a lot of damage, which I do, and doesn't like this country, which I do. But having said that, he's one of the more skilled politicians we've ever seen, kind of like Bill Clinton in his heyday. And she is not even in the same universe as a politician communicator as Barack Obama. On his worst day and on her best day, she's not even in the same planet as he is as a communicator.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, when we first saw Bill Clinton, we were blown away in a sense, because this was a smart guy who can articulate, and, you know, he owned the room, you know, when he talked. I've heard people who met Bill Clinton back then equate him to when Tom Cruise would walk in a room, and they would be like, that's the kind of magnetism this guy had. So whatever he did or didn't that we might have liked, the guy was amazing, great politician and articulate. Obama, the difference is Obama didn't run anything. You know, he wasn't a governor. He didn't do anything, you know, the whole community organizer thing. But man, this guy could read the phone book and convince you of stuff. I remember back, there were people who loved Obama during his run and initial run. And I was like, you know, I don't know. I don't think so. He's so good. But don't listen to him. Read what he says. Read the transcript of the speech he made. Don't listen to the speech. And when you read it, I can't tell you how many people would come back to me and say, you know, I don't agree with like most of that stuff, but I love the speech and I'm going to vote for him. But now that I read this, and that's why Obama is so good, because he can just get up there and talk. It doesn't matter. It's like a stand-up comedian saying controversial stuff, and you're just kind of on the floor, and it's, you know, it's great. But then you have two candidates in Biden and in Harris, both of whom really weren't able to communicate well at all. They hid Biden through COVID, and now they've got her where they're just managing, you know, literally everything she says. Can you imagine that? This is, you know, two presidential candidates now, 8 years of this, where potentially, and they have not really had a candidate that can speak, you know, on their own without the teleprompter. I mean, Biden was a disaster with the teleprompter. We saw that. And she's, you know, she's even more terrible. It does shock me to the things that you said, that she is getting the support she's getting. And it all comes down to this one thing. We've talked about this on the show ad nauseum, but it happens to be the end of the line, the bottom line. And that is Trump hate. Is your Trump hate just so much that you're willing to overlook just about everything? Are you? And the answer is yes with many of these folks. So
yeah, they voted their own demise.
Yeah. But Trump's done a great job, I think. He has not been as crazy as he was in other campaigns, you know, where he's gone a little over the top with some of his rhetoric. He's been a little more managed. He's been speaking policy. He's been going to places that speak policy. I have to say, he's a little more toned down, and I like it. And I love the people around him. I mean, how do you not love Elon Musk? I mean, that one guy alone, 200 million followers on Twitter. Amazing.
Well, also, and smart. I mean, again, you can go back to when we started the show in 2015, but certainly since the second coming of the show with this cast since 2020, when we came on Real America's Voice, you can go back through the Trump presidency and the end of it. The one thing I have always if there was one thing I'd say that they did terribly at, was personnel. When you look at where people who were in that first administration ended up, and he has started to, yesterday at the Detroit Economic Club, he came as close to saying he did a bad job with personnel as I've ever heard him come. And the point is, I think he talks a little bit more about it now, because he knows going in this time, the people around him are so much better. He has solid people around him. You don't have to agree with every single thing that every one of those people believe or talk about, but you know going in now, God willing, he knows where all the bodies lie. He knows where all the phonies are. He knows where all the deep-rooted, deep state players are, and he's going to go in there with real people, with real personnel, not people who are going to end up working on The View after they're done, not people who are going to end up writing books, not people who are going to end up on these liberal shows on MSNBC as contributors and CNN as contributors. None of those people should be going into a second Trump term. He needs to go in there with Kash Patel, with Vivek, with Elon, with, again, his attorney general pick will be the most important pick, I believe, of the entire 4 years. I'd love to see somebody like Brett Tolman, somebody like that, that's a little more, former government guy, but not a deep state guy, good, solid prosecutor. I think would be a fantastic attorney general, somebody like that. So his personnel going in and his choices, I think, will be much, much better. Because listen, the one advantage he'll have, this is it, man. This is it. You got 4 years. Nothing's going to stand in your way. If we take the Senate, nothing's going to stand in your way, even if somehow they take the House. If we get all three, let's go fix the country. But either way, it's all hands on deck.
We have to get all three, because if they get the House, it's going to be impeachment, go to the Senate, impeachment. It's going to be the same run of show. But when he got in 16 and then into 17, he had Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell, literally, trying to guide him on everything. And I think they were a part of some really bad picks. Plus, he brought in people that he shouldn't have around his little social circle there. I mean, Amoroso, Scaramucci, others like that. But I think Ryan and McConnell undermined his entire presidency, those 4 years. So from what you said about the better class of people around him and the experience of those 4 years and being, just absolutely manipulated and pushed over for these types of people that they kind of wanted him to do, and also the things they wanted him to do. They didn't push him around per se. I don't mean that. But he was certainly relying on their experience and guidance, right? Because he thought they were Republicans trying to make him successful. At the end of the day, they were not. Simple as that. So he knows that. And the AG pick, boy, have we got the worst AG I think I've ever seen in history, in Garland. And there's a book out now where who are those guys that undid the Nixon thing? The two reporters, one of them's got a book out on Biden, and he just articulates how Biden's furious with Garland over the whole Hunter Biden thing and all that kind of stuff. But that's
Woodward and Bernstein.
Yeah, one of those guys.
That'll
so there's a lot
over
of
there at CNN.
Yeah. But the AG, I agree with you, is a critical pick. But I love Ramaswamy. I have to say, the more I see this guy, the more I hear him speak, and I'm glad he's been visible after the primary, because he is a sharp guy. Musk is sharp, obviously, one of the most brilliant guys. I think that goes without saying. But Ramaswamy is a very practical, sharp, a very, very impressive guy. So yeah, I think that's going to be a great benefit for the entire country. But we do need to win the House and the Senate. I mean, we went through having it and then not having it. When we don't have it, all they do is impeach him. That's it.
Yeah. Let me throw a couple things up on the screen here that are coming through. Get your ideas, get your thoughts. Greg says, Big D, I'm worried about the overseas ballots that they're going to dump in Pennsylvania and Michigan without being a resident of those states if we do not prevail in the, I'm assuming that meant lawsuit. And then along with that, I saw to this, makes you wonder what desperate moves they'll be using in these last 20-some days. So combining kind of both of those together, Vin, what are you worried about in the last 20 days as far as dirty tricks, October surprise? I feel like election day, I heard Michael Watley yesterday, the chairman of the RNC, say there's a lot of things that have changed that maybe people don't understand have changed as far as election integrity goes in some of these states, some of the lawsuits, some of the state legislatures. Not everybody's up on everything that's happening in every state. So I don't know that I'm as worried as much about election day as, well, none of us knew possibly into 2020 what could have happened, so we weren't prepared. But I'm not as worried about election day as I would have been, I guess, in 2020. What are your thoughts about going into these last 27 days?
Election day doesn't worry me either. What worries me are the mail-in ballots and all those kinds of things that are coming in pre-election day. And what the left did very, very well in their sinister way of working was they had multiple lawsuits, state by state by state, during COVID to change election voting, right? So they did a very, very good job. And the Republicans did not. They did not fight those effectively, and they did not, change them. Now you can see, as we've seen probably the last year, the Republicans pushing lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, trying to put some of this stuff in a measurable way, right? And some fairness possible. That worries me. The message that you posted up, about, ballot dump coming from overseas, all that stuff still worries me. They are going to cheat like hell. They know they're behind, so they're going to cheat like hell. I wouldn't be surprised if they like with FEMA perhaps not allowing Elon Musk stuff going up in North Carolina. I wouldn't be surprised if there are mail-in ballots just not showing up in some of those areas that are heavy Trump in North Carolina. Every dirty trick possible. The good news is Trump has brought in a team to run the Republican Party, which prior they didn't do the things they needed to do. They got outfoxed. And they're doing the things I think they need to do. But you're dealing with very demented people, that will literally cheat, lie, and steal to do anything to get power. So that's what concerns me the most. I feel better about it than I did last round. A lot better about it. And I don't, everyone's talking about this October surprise. Short of Israel nuking Iran or vice versa, I don't see anything happening in that October surprise sort of window. We just had 2 natural disasters. We had probably the best governor in the world leading that. By the way, that reminds me, I had this little Facebook battle. You'll get a kick out of this one.
By the way, I don't want to put you on the spot, personal stuff, but everything worked out for your stuff in Florida?
Unbelievable. Like my building, I got pictures of it and everything, nothing. There's a lot of damage down there, obviously. But no, I'm good. I got to get back down there and just double check. But so far,
all right,
so good.
That's good to hear.
So yesterday, I think the audience is going to kick out of this too, because when you see, even if you're not a Florida resident or if you've never been to Florida, you see DeSantis on TV and the way he handled it. It was just amazing. That's leadership with a capital L. And so I commented, I put a post up and I said, hey, this is what leadership is all about. This is one of the best governors I've ever seen, what he's done and how he's handled it and how he's basically said the buck stops here. Am I relying on FEMA? No, I'm relying on us. We're going to use FEMA. Am I relying on the federal government? No, I'm relying on us. The guy was amazing. The response I get back is, how can you say such a thing? You know what he's done to the LGBTQ, population? And that became a rant, and it became a bullying rant on top of it, by the way. Like I had to, get defensive on it, which I didn't respond to it. But think about that in the context of everything we've just talked about, voting and people's perceptions. Here's a governor everyone should be proud of, Republicans and Democrats and independents, just from a leadership standpoint. Keeping people safe, right? Protecting their property, all that kind of stuff. All of that's pushed aside for a couple of things that he's doing, rightfully, by the way, about the LGBT community. He's not repressing them, by the way. He's simply saying third graders don't need to be indoctrinated with this stuff. So got into that, and it just was another bell that went off about the lunacy that we're dealing with when you have greatness, which this guy showed.
Yeah. He shows it every day. Again, he just sets the bar for when I complain about the Republican Party and I talk about how we need to be more focused on the state level, what's going on, than the federal level, because the feds ain't going to save us. I don't care who's in the White House.
Oh, no.
He is the bar for what red state governors and what red states could be. He's won on every issue that we say we care about. He's won on education. He's won pushing back against medical tyranny. He's won against the deep state. He's won against the trans craziness. He's won against the Green New Deal craziness. He's pushed back. I mean, he has won on every single thing that we say we care about. He is the standard bearer for what a Republican governor should look like in a red state. Sarah Sanders, I think, is doing a great job. You look at the guy in Indiana. I put up the thing last night. It's like we've got to get away from guys who in a red state are tweeting about getting their COVID vaccine and flu vaccine 4 years later, like it's still a thing. You know, we've had others of them. Kate Ivey in Alabama, disaster. Just you could go. I mean, just if you use COVID as the standard bearer, and how they responded to the freedom of their citizens during that time, we got a lot of work to do in red states with leadership.
No question.
Speaking of that, Vin, let's jump over here. Do you have a second, or you have a time? You got it out?
No, I got a little time.
Let's listen to.
So you had flooding events, just different than what you would have had with storm surge. But you saw that in Hillsborough County. You saw that in Pinellas. You see it even further inland throughout central Florida. And there's also places where water is continuing to rise as a result of that. And of course, we did have strong winds. Not necessarily the strongest Florida's ever seen, but you did have winds obviously behind me here. I mean, that's wind damage when you have a crane get knocked into a building. State search and rescue teams across the state have continued to work around the clock to successfully execute rescue missions of individuals as well as a lot of pets on the West Coast, as well as from the destruction from the tornadoes in other parts of the state. The Florida National Guard, we have over 6,500 service members active. We've got a lot more. As I said, people were sending or offering to send. I'm happy to report because the stabilization and the rescues were so effective, most of that we received is going to be sent back later today. And so you'll see some things that were requested will never end up being utilized at all. And then some of the things in the state, most of that is going to be sent back very, very quickly. That's a good problem to have too many resources. 23 urban search and rescue teams with over 1,600 personnel have also been deployed. 10 swift water teams. The state and local collaborations, over 1,600 individuals have been rescued, over 140 animals from floodwaters, rubble, or other hazards. So I want to thank everybody who is doing that. You know, as soon as that storm passes, it's still hazardous, but it's at least somewhat safe. They go out and they get the job done. It's made a big difference. Florida National Guard, Florida law enforcement, state urban search and rescue teams continue to work. We still have working right now 31 rescue aircraft, 500 high-wheeled tactical vehicles, and over a dozen boats on various missions. We had Florida ambulance teams. We were talking about how we were staging all these ambulances. They assisted in the evacuation of over 200 patients from a hospital that was experiencing flood.
All right, so that's just a little bit of the governor, obviously just giving pretty much a standard update on what's going on. You know, it's interesting, Vin, when you think about DeSantis. Obviously, he wanted to run, you know, and why not? Good for him. He ran. Didn't work out. Now you think about where we are with him. Does he have a place? I mean, you think about a guy who's a leader like he is, a guy who's law and order like he is, a guy who's a crisis manager like he is, the guy a level executive that he is. He, like I said, he's won on every issue that we care about. Does he have a place? I don't know how he personally would feel about it. I'm assuming he still looks at 28 as a time. Obviously, at this point, you have to figure J.D. Vance is the favorite, but you have to figure that it's still something he thinks about. But does he have a place, and would he be willing to? Would he be a good attorney general? Would he be a good? I mean, I could see him as something like that. I don't know. What do you think about DeSantis in the Trump second administration?
Man, I personally would love to see it. I'd love to see it for a few reasons. One, all the things you said. The guy's qualified to do an excellent job, especially as AG. is exactly the type of personality you also need as an AG. No nonsense, calling balls and strikes, and just not putting up with a lot of the nonsense that you see that the left puts up with that sometimes our guys, acquiesce to. And the other thing is, I do think he's got a real shot in 2028 and being the president of the United States and working in government like that at a level in government inside a Trump administration at a high level, I think would be good for him. He's been a great governor. Now, do I want to lose him from Florida? No, I don't want to lose him. He's the best. Who would replace him? What level? It's almost he's irreplaceable. So you got to get your arms around that. But for the country's sake, and to fix all this nonsense, especially on the AG side, which has been destroyed by Garland, destroyed, and Soros, those guys have destroyed the entire legal process in our country. You need a guy like DeSantis because he's one of the few guys that'll take a flamethrower.
Yeah. Hey, I want to play a clip. I want everybody to listen. I just, if you want to get a sense of where I think a lot of Americans, especially up and down the East Coast, are, I think this guy represented. I want to play this clip and then we'll react to it. Let me play it.
Yo, man, this Tone from Tampa, man.
Tone from Tampa. What's up, brother? How was everything out there?
It's a little like rain right now, heavy wind, but I'm going to just keep it a buck, man. This ain't where it's at, man.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna say y'all right in the middle of it. The eyes hitting Tampa from what the map shows right now.
Man, bro, my heart, bro, and in my ass, bro. I'm scared, man. And then we still recovering from Helene, and it's like, bro, I want to get this off my chest, bro. This government is playing in our faces, man. It don't matter if it's Republican or Democrat. They playing in our faces, bro. You get Ukrainians come over here, they get what they want. You get immigrants come over here, they get what they want. And you got people being denied these FEMA applications that you talking about the other day, Charlamagne.
Mm-hmm.
People being denied, bro. But you getting these migrants coming over here, $10,000 food stamps, bro. Goddamn $5,000 cash stipends, man. This shit hurting, bro. We finna get ready to damn near die, bro. A lot of people couldn't afford to evacuate. And this government planning our face, man.
Damn.
I feel for you, bro.
I totally understand, my brother.
Absolutely.
It don't matter what they is, Democrat, Republican, they all treason, man. They all about money, bro. None of these people care about American people, bro. This hurt, bro. This hurt, bro. People wake up every day just want to live their life, bro. And you got these greedy snakes, man. You got these greedy snakes call themselves government service people, bro. And they don't give a damn, bro. They don't give a damn about the migrants coming over here. They using them too, man. This ain't right, man.
You're absolutely right, my
Damn, I
brother.
can't wait to come back, man.
No, you're right, brother.
To hear what he said he can't wait till God come back. He's absolutely 100% right. Because at some point, I don't know who else can help a lot of people other than the Most High.
Well, we're praying for you, brother.
Thank y'all, man.
Try to stay as safe as possible,
Yeah,
brother.
man.
And if you're in Tampa, man, if you're in Tampa, listen, y'all, Town and Country, West Tampa, Apollo Beach, Gibson, Davis Island, St. Pete, Clearwater, man, y'all get out the way, man. Get out the way. Go north, man. I don't care if you got to go to a high school, elementary, whatever, man. Get out the way, please.
All right.
Y'all be blessed, man.
Yeah, do what you can to stay safe, brother. And you know, when it's all said and done, we're going to see what we can do to help relief down there, man.
Absolutely.
But I want people to hear
Absolutely.
exactly how people on the ground feel.
Yeah, that got me almost crying.
That's everyday working class
That's how he
people
feels.
on the ground. You can't lie to them.
But that's how he feels. And
Y'all-
that's what people have been saying for the longest.
It
Like, they
sounds
feel
like he's
away.
preparing to possibly not make it.
That man don't want to hear about no statistics. He don't want to hear about no data. He don't want to hear about none of that.
No.
He is on the ground, 10 toes down, real life experience. That's
right.
what politicians don't want you to see. Those are the people politicians not talking to.
Those are the people that they need to talk to. And you see how he feels. He feels like, look, I live here. I work here. I pay my taxes here, and there is no help.
And he don't care about no Democrat. He don't care about no Republican. He don't care about no Trump. He don't care about no Vice President Kamala Harris. All he care about is surviving.
Him and his family.
Who's going to help him survive?
That's right.
And as of now, nobody has.
Sorry, I was on mute. I mean, that's pretty strong stuff there, huh?
That, by the way, is superb. And that expresses the anger that a lot of people in this country have, especially the working class, especially the people that live month to month or week to week. How can they not forget the storm for a second? How can they not be angry that they're fighting for survival? They're trying to get some assistance just to get through things from the government. And then all these migrants come in and they're getting, 5-star hotel rooms. They're getting money. They're getting all of these things. How can you not be angry? That's the thing that the left, in their ultimate arrogance, does not fully understand. And that's why they're disconnected. They're disconnected from real people because they're arrogant. Their arrogance has said, no, don't worry about that. We always get these guys. They always come our way. We'll promise them a lot of nonsense and so on. This guy said it pretty well. Now, I do disagree that another administration, they would not be having those same gripes. This would not be going on if Trump were in office. He wouldn't be bringing illegals in. He wouldn't be paying for them. And he'd be trying to help underserved communities do better like he did last time. So, see, the other one I do disagree with him, but his anger is spot on. And everyone should feel that anger. That's the type of clip that there should be thousands of people talking like this. And they are out there. Millions, maybe.
Yeah. Just a couple other things I wanted to do here.
Oh boy, this guy. Oh man. How you doing?
Tim Waltz was on with Michael Strahan this morning, and this was the question and answer here to why when you go to the grocery store.
And let's talk about the economy. That is the top issue for voters out there. 74% of voters said the past year they've had to cut back on groceries because of the rising costs, of course. And a lot of those voters, they're concerned that they cast their vote for Kamala Harris, but she's responsible for that. Yeah. So how do you reach those voters? What do you say to those voters who may blame her for the economy right now?
Yeah, folks in the middle. Well, we talk to them about what are the policies that are going to make a difference. And we see some of the data, but data doesn't impact people in their daily lives. Go into the grocery store and you see false information, whether it's bird flu impacting eggs. But the reality for most people is if those costs are up, they want to know what you're going to do about it. I think that's why she's focusing on making sure whether it's home ownership more affordable, tax cuts for the middle class, and let's just be candid about this. There's price gouging piece of this.
Let's not answer the question, too. That's
False information is the answer, and price gouging is the answer, I guess.
Yeah. They come from this school of thought. Just say whatever it is you want to say. Enough times, people will believe it. And the question was, she was part of causing it. How do you reconcile with that? Not, all these other things you're going to do about it. She was part of causing it. How do you reconcile that? There's no answer, Damon. They have no answer for that. How do you answer that question? If you're a politician, yeah, she was a complete idiot, but now she's super smart. How do you go there?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. If you haven't seen it, Vin, here it is. I just found it. So let me play it quick. This is last night. His first night out for her.
Is that we had not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. Is that
yeah, so there you go. More pronounced with the brothers, he says.
Yeah. We just heard a clip from a brother. An angry brother. And they're out there. I think the black community, especially the female black community, sees a female black, leader coming out and is voting for her based on some of that. But the men for sure are saying, no. She's not qualified, and look at what we got here. I'd love to see this because, that community's changed so dramatically over the decades. This was a community that came out of the 60s with a lot of opportunity and potential emerging through the 70s and through the 80s, and then went upside down because of the Democrats and their policies, the entire community. So so great to see them waking up. And a guy like Trump is perfect because anybody's ever had the pleasure of meeting Trump or watch him in action, these are the people he relates to. He might be this billionaire contractor, but he's the guy that loves, the worker on the scaffolding. This is the guy that, he has that relationship with the elevator guy. It's not just, I'm a rich guy and I'm going to be nice to you. No, I think his mindset is very much, connected to them. And it's so good to see the community coming back, and the Latin community too. They get it big time.
Yeah. All right. So just a couple other headlines I just want to go through before we wrap it here for this morning. Again, we'll be loud. There's about 700 of you in here. Hit the like and subscribe. Give me the thumbs up. Make sure you follow on whatever platform you're watching on. We appreciate it. We'll be live tonight, 7 o'clock on Real America's Voice with your pre-rally coverage of President Trump in Reno, Nevada. Ben Bergquam will be on the ground. So we'll have some time to talk to Ben. I'm sure he'll be able to talk to some Real American Voices on the ground. So we'll have some fun with that. And we'll take you right up until the president takes the stage. But just a couple other headlines I want to hit and see what Vinny thinks and what you guys think. This is in the Washington Times today. Again, to Newt Gingrich's point, which is, the former speaker always has interesting thoughts on all of this, the way he thinks these things through. And I mean, I have been saying, not as eloquently nearly as he obviously said it, but the good doctor, she is sitting there feeling like we are not going to let this go without our voices. We're not going off into the sunset without our voices being heard on what we think about this woman. And I don't think the relationship between them is good at all. And as the former speaker said, it wouldn't surprise him if Jill said, Joe, maybe we leave it so that you're the only person that ever beat Trump at the ballot box, and let's do whatever we can. Well, it's not our imagination. Newt said it. Headline today to Washington Times, President Biden keeps upstaging Kamala Harris, and it's making Democrats anxious. Headline in the American Thinker today. Is the Biden campaign deliberately sabotaging Kamala Harris and the DNC? I mean, so it's out there, Vin. Like you said, it's almost undeniable in some respects. It has to be deliberate. Every time she's doing something, he takes the stage. The other day when they did that FEMA thing, she just kept trying to jump in to make sure she got a question after he would do his thing. And by the way, he sounded as bad as cooked as he is.
Yeah.
He sounded more competent than she did.
Yeah.
If we're being honest.
Yeah.
He asked better questions, although they were not great, but he sounded more competent than she sounded. She sounded like, yeah, but wait, my turn. She just sounded like she had to be relevant, like she had to get in there because she didn't want to be upstaged.
That's the thing. It's like the kid in the class that has really nothing to say and he's not that smart, trying to get a question in and regurgitating something smart that's there. But here's the thing that I believe happened. So they pushed Biden aside, and there was some dirty stuff that went on, right? All this bad stuff that happened to him. What happened as a result of that? He's got no allegiance to anybody. You just threw him under the bus. He's still the president and for a few more months, but he's got no allegiance. He's an older guy. There's nothing for him to acquiesce to. They have no control over him anymore. They already showed him. So he's probably like, there's a big, FU going on here too. And I think there was no love lost with her. But I mean, her reputation is so bad. She doesn't get along with anybody. She doesn't get along with anybody. And she didn't get along with him. I think that's been evident, not just now, but during the course of the presidency with the type of stuff he had her do. He was just trying to get rid of her. You go to Angola, not me. You got to get rid of her. So it is obvious, but they created this problem by treating this guy with a level of disrespect. There might have been a better way to do this. Where maybe there was a mini primary, maybe there were other things, but they did not. They took this guy down. They forced him into a debate where he was going to look. That was all a setup. I mean, that was all pretty clear. So I think he's a guy with no island. So he's like, screw it. I don't blame him. I give him more credit for this than his entire presidency because you know what this is? It's real. His entire presidency has been fake. This is real. And he's acting real, you know? Whereas the whole rest of the time, he's been one big phony with a teleprompter.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth. I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think it's undeniable at this point. Just a couple other things I want to bring to your attention. Speaking of great leaders, by the way, great executives. I don't know if there's any better than Dana White, and he doesn't. I mean, listen, you're never going to have to think about what Dana thinks. If you ask him, he'll tell you. He will not keep it. There's no sugarcoating with Dana. But he doesn't step into the political arena, especially on social media, that often. We know he's close with Trump. He spoke at the RNC twice now, obviously flew from his vacation to the last one, this last past one, to introduce him. But he stepped out yesterday. And he put out a tweet and said basically that this appearance that she did should absolutely scare everybody. He said, he said should scare the shit out of everybody. She's the sitting VP running for president of the United States. She's incapable of putting a sentence together without a teleprompter. And even she appears to know she's in way over her head, he said. This election is very important, and this, along with many other clips of her attempting to answer questions, should scare the shit out of you, he wrote.
Yeah.
So
he's spot on.
Yeah.
And also, the 60 Minutes thing. They can't run an interview with her without editing the hell out of it. This should scare everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not
so
like,
Dana,
I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that. I thought you were done. So I was just going to say, yeah. So Dana obviously stepped out and put that out yesterday, and that you don't see him do that often.
No, they go on Colbert, and they all just, they're all from the same hardcore, the same side, so it's all fun and games. Shame on Colbert, in a sense. It's like it's one thing to be just biased, but that was just a giant suck-up interview, at least on The View, which I cannot stand. I don't think anybody listening to us right now or watching us would have anything good to say about him. But they did ask her, one tough question that she couldn't answer. And it's not even a tough question. This is an obvious question. If you've been in charge of something for a while, and then you say, well, if you bring me in again, I'm going to change everything. And then you say, well, no, I agree with everything that was done. It's like it's a giant circle of absolute nonsense. If it weren't for the Trump derangement syndrome, this would just be such a landslide. It's not even funny. But they have done such an effective job in convincing people that he is the worst, most evil person in the world, and all they're doing is projecting their own bad actors and so on. That is the only reason this is even. And I don't think it's that close, but that's the only reason people even think it's close. It's derangement syndrome.
Well, John Solomon, I started the show before you came on this morning. John Solomon had a piece this morning in Just the News that talks about just that there's some disarray between the national polling and the state level polling, and all you see, and I have it up here now, just quickly I'll end the morning show here with just this. We can just quickly go through it. The Nationals show her with maybe a 2 percentage point lead, but everything on the state level shows this thing swinging big time as far as the Electoral College, which is all we care about. And that's why Tim Walz let the truth out yesterday. We got to get rid of that Electoral College, man. It's standing in our way of forever power. I mean, that's what they believe. That's what they want to do. If they ever got control of all three one more time, this country would be in rough shape, because there'd be no more Supreme Court. There'd be no more filibuster. There'd be 2 extra states. There'd be 2 more Democrat senators from those 2 states. You'd have a Supreme Court with probably 25 raging liberals on, or at least 20 raging liberals on it. It would be, you'd have no more Electoral College, popular vote, New York, California. They elect who's going to lead. The rest of you go screw.
I do hope, I know we're winding down here, but I do hope that when Trump gets in office, that he pushes through term limits and all of these checks and balances we're going to need to protect from something like that actually happening. If there are term limits, these guys can't act as wild as they are. They're in office for life, many of these folks. Many of them the Schumers of the world and so on, and Pelosi. That's why they wield the power. And they have got a lot of power. Have you ever seen a Democrat really step out of line? I mean, really. And
exactly. I say it all the time. When Pelosi was in charge, You take a look at when Pelosi's in charge, or Johnson, or McCarthy, or Ryan, or Boehner. You can go back through the speakers. When you had Pelosi in charge, you could take 2 pieces of white paper and write down how many people ever stepped out of line. You'd have a blank piece of white paper. When you put a Republican, you'd have to have 9 reams of paper because there's total disarray in the party. They never march together. They have nothing they believe in. They have nobody who can articulate what the message is, like J.D. Vance did on the debate night. That's exactly right. They never step out of line when they control when they wield their power.
And, in some ways it's disarray. In other ways, it's a good thing because at least they can speak their mind, so you can go, the disarray comment is fair because that's happened, right? We saw that with McCarthy and others, they're out of line many times, but it's also good to see that there's some, dissenting opinion. On the left, there's none. The only crack I've seen is with the Israel thing, with a couple of Jewish senators where there might be a little crack, Dan Goldman, a little, that kind of stuff. And that has to stop. To all the things you just said, the only way to stop that is term limits, because they won't run amok like that anymore. They won't have the power. They have to do something like that in there. So that's the final word.
Yeah. All right. So we'll just wrap it up quickly, going through where we are in the Real Clear Politics polling. And again, the most interesting part of all these polls that we'll run through is this line right here. And what this line right below is on this day for the last 2 elections, who had the lead and by how much. So in Pennsylvania right now, the Real Clear polling average is Trump plus 0.4. So 0.4%. So Trump up slightly in the average. You can see the red, the people who have Trump up. Quinnipiac has Harris plus 2. Bloomberg has Harris plus 5. Fox News has it tied. And then everybody else pretty much has Trump for an overall average of Trump plus 4. Look back at the last 2 elections on this day. Biden on the average was plus 7.1 percentage points. And Clinton was plus 9.2 percentage points. So the 2 Democrat candidates at the time were up 7 and 9. This year, Trump right now in the red, plus 0.4. So that's Pennsylvania. North Carolina, Trump up 0.5 percentage point. One place has Harris up, Atlas Intel. Go back in history, Biden was plus 2.4 at this point. Clinton was plus 2.6. Right now, Trump plus 0.5 in Pennsylvania. In North Carolina. In Georgia, go back in history, Trump was plus 0.4. Right now, he's plus 0.5. In 16, Trump was 4.7, so he's doing a little worse in Georgia than he was in 16, a little better than he was in 2020. The only places that have Harris up here in Georgia is the Wall Street Journal and Fox News. In Wisconsin, they have Harris plus 0.3. Biden was plus 6. Clinton was plus 6.8. Harris is slightly the favorite right now, but barely. That's where you are in Wisconsin. Michigan, Biden was plus 6.7 at this point. Clinton was plus 7.3. RCP average right now has Trump almost plus 1. That is a huge swing in Michigan. Look at the lead the 2 last Democrats had going into this point of the election cycle in Michigan. And Trump right now, according to Real Clear Politics average, is almost plus 1 in Michigan. Minnesota, Harris is plus 4.7. We don't have a history there, so we won't worry about that. Arizona, let's see. Okay, we have a history here. At this point, Biden was 2.7. Trump was 0.7. Right now, Trump is 0.5. So Arizona's still close, but Trump leading on the average in Arizona. Nevada, as they say. Biden was plus 6 at this point. Clinton was plus 1.3. Right now, Trump 0.2 up. New Hampshire, we don't have any history. Harris is up Virginia, the one I'm really keeping my eye out for what could be an early night, but it still looks like she's somewhat in command in Virginia, plus 6.4 in the average in Virginia and Texas. Trump, I don't know why we're looking at Texas, but so that's where we are in the polls. But you see the difference, Vin, in where Trump is positioned right now as opposed to years past.
I think in polling, as in the life we live every day, I'm not saying we, but in general, we are ostracized if we publicly support Trump. So people are in the closet, maybe a little less in the closet than might have been in other elections, but they still are. So the polling to me is always skewed because of that. And I think it was not as skewed probably in 16, more skewed in 2020, because, he was certainly the enemy in 2020, and he was, somewhat the enemy in 16. No one believed he can do it. And now, of course, he's the big enemy. And in life, just think about life for a second. I talked to a guy who does sports commentaries, famous guy, not going to use his name. And he was offered spots on Hannity and other conservative shows. And he said no. Why did he say no? Because of the obvious reason that he'd be ostracized by the sports community. I mean, look at ESPN, as liberal and crazy as it gets. That's real. Very, very real. I'm dealing with someone you and I know very well in Hollywood right now on a movie release, and he's a closet Trump supporter. He comments on my posts all the time, sent me private messages. Oh, it was awesome. That was this and that. He has to be in the closet. So do you think his polling is going to be the same way? So it's across society and the polling. So if I see Trump, if Trump is either 2 points behind or even anywhere, he's ahead. It's pretty much how I look at all of these calculus. And Virginia, most of Virginia, I'm sure, would support Trump. And you just got that Washington belt, like we have here in New York. We talk about New York all the time. Is it in play? Is it not in play? Who knows? But he only loses because of, metropolitan New York.
Yeah.
I mean, now with the black male vote and hopefully the Jewish vote, maybe he's got a shot, but that's just the way it is. People are hiding still.
All right, one last short clip here from our friend Josh Hammer, friend of the show, has been on the show. We'll be on again. Hopefully we'll get him back on. I thought he summed this up nicely, why Trump and Vance are making the inroads they're making.
National civilizational divide as the ruling class versus the country class. The ruling class is exactly what Lara Logan is talking about. The ruling class is the Davos Soi. It is the bureaucrats in Brussels and Turtle Bay at the United Nations in New York City, the people that are clamoring in bipartisan fashion to bring in China to the World Trade Organization and then confer upon them most favored nation status. We know who the globalists are. What we need are prudential, pragmatic, hard-headed, realist nationalists. And specifically, what we need are people who may or may not hold elite credentials, but whose hearts, minds, and sensibilities are not with the elites, but are with the American people. What we need, in short, Dave, are class traitors, people who are traitors to their elite credentials. I look at Donald Trump, who is a Ward and UPenn graduate. I look at J.D. Vance, who is a Yale Law School alum. I see class traitors. I love that. That's exactly the way it should be right now. Great. So I look on the one hand, and I see people whose hearts and souls are with the American people. And then I look on the other side and I see someone whose hearts and souls have been sold out, whether in literal dollar and cents terms or in some other terms. They've sold out to other non-Americanist forces. That is our basic civilizational battle. We have Americanism, this idea of what it means to be American, the very American character of our regime as it has existed for almost 2.5 centuries now. That is very much on the ballot this year. It is a monumental election. And if Trump and Vance can continue to hit this theme of the ruling class versus we the people in the final weeks, touch on all the core issues, economy, inflation, immigration, and crime, those really the 4 bread and butter issues right now, I think that they're in very good shape right now.
I mean, Josh is a senior editor at large at Newsweek. He's brilliant. He's been on the show. Hopefully we can get him back on again. I mean, that's as well said, Vin. I mean, if you're going to break it down to a basic level that even I can understand, I mean, he said it right there. I mean, that is a fantastic clip.
That's what we're against. It's the globalist agenda as opposed to the citizen agenda. Soros and all these other very wealthy people out there throwing money. If you look at the actions of what's happened throughout the world, He says it well with China and other things. There's a globalist movement, no question, throughout the world. And then there's a citizen movement, which is what Trump's trying to do. And you know what? They can meet. There's a place for this to meet. Like, you want the world to be safe, don't we? Of course we do. We just don't want to lose all of our freedoms and the things that we love in this country because some guy in frickin' Belgium, wants to have this globalist thing, or the former head of Microsoft, is throwing a bunch of money. That's what this is about. I think that's what this is all about. The left has sold us out on globalism, and Trump is one of the few on the right. Frankly, he's changed the entire Republican Party, mind you. The entire party. They were not that far off this. Paul Ryan and a lot of these other hacks that we've gotten rid of now. And I liked Paul Ryan at one point, but once I saw what he did to Trump, I didn't trust him. But Trump is the only one. He changed this entire movement and said, what about us? And, that's the fight here. And it's a clear fight. Yeah. Well done by this guy. Very good.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh is great. Absolutely great. Writes great stuff over there at Newsweek. So, all right, Vin, this was fun. I'm glad you had a chance to join me. This was great. This is longer than we normally go in the mornings. There's still 600 of you watching. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, thumbs up. We appreciate it. Again, we'll see you tonight, 7 p.m., Real America's Voice on all your platforms, Dish Network, obviously all your OTT platforms as well, and, of course, on Real America's Voice. 7 p.m., we'll take you pre-rally coverage right up to the president taking the stage in Reno, Nevada. Slick will have sport. Delgado will have some news. Hopefully, Vinnie Mack will be able to join us, and we'll comment. We'll talk to Ben Berquam. He'll be on the ground with you, the Real American Voices there in Reno, Nevada. So that'll be fun. We'll get a chance to maybe talk. Ben will talk to some of you. We'll talk to him. So it should be a fun night. Friday night means pizza night, and I don't know what.
Now
else
I'm coming. Okay.
I don't know what else we'll partake in tonight, but we'll figure something out there to keep it moving. So maybe some. I don't know. Do you like what do you call it? What's the drink that Portnoy does? I always drink it there. I forget what it's called. Those little tequila seltzer deals?
Oh boy.
High noons.
High noons, yeah. I do like them, but I'm not a drinker. Like, alcohol hits me so quick that if I had half a sip of that thing, I'd be playing My Sharona as a ballad, okay, on the thing. So you may not want that.
Okay.
Ooh,
right,
my little pretty woman.
We'll get some seltzer for you. We'll keep those away from you. So
yeah, thank you.
Either way, it'll be a good night. We'll have some fun tonight, everybody. Thanks, Vinnie Mack. Thanks for joining us. Any parting words?
No, I think we covered it all here. I'm hoping I can get on tonight. I'll let you know a little later.
All right, sounds good. To the rest of you, thanks for joining us this morning. I will definitely see you at 7 p.m. live on Studio 6B. I'll see you then. And thanks, everybody. We'll see you tonight, and then I'll see you back here, obviously, Monday morning for this again. And then we appreciate it. We'll see you then. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.